Today, we are driving the 2026 Range Rover Sport. This is the Autobiography plug-in hybrid. It'll do 51 miles on a full battery charge, and then your 3-liter turbocharged inline 6 kicks in, and combined, you make 542 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque. This thing is quick. It's also heavy, but it's quick. We have an 8-speed automatic transmission, Range Rover's classic, modern, minimalist interior. There's some things I really like about this touchscreen, and there are some things that I really don't like about it. We'll talk about that later on in this video when we go over the interior. For now, though, let's hop outside, walk you around this briefly, talk about what this thing has been like to live with, and then we'll take it for a drive and give you guys some driving impressions. As tested, this Range Rover Sport costs $127,000. It's painted in Firenze red, and I think it looks great. Good looking SUV. Love the Autobiography trimming here. You've got some higher spec options on this Range Rover Sport, like the $3,100 rear entertainment screens. Could probably do without those, especially if you're putting child seats in the rear, since you're going to lose some of your headroom, leg room, knee room, what have you. Everything is appointed very well on the interior. The leather looks really nice. It would be nice if we had some automatic sunshades instead of these manual ones. I know of some $40,000 Toyotas that have these same style sunshades. The Meridian 3D surround sound system is pretty respectable in its own right. It sounds nice. We've got rear climate control here, so you can control your auto fan speed, your fan level. I think we've got heated and ventilated seats as well, which is good. Look at that. There we go. If we push, do we have heated seats back here? Yes, we do. All right. The suede Alcantara headliner is supple, soft, sumptuous. We have a big panoramic sunroof up here. Armrests, gotta have those in your Range Rover Sport. Super easy ingress and egress here too. Very, very easy to get in and out of. We've got lots of backrest adjustment, though I do have the child lock turned on, which turns that off, thankfully. Here's your fuel cap, and then on this side is your charge port. I don't like how this is a plug-in hybrid. You're going to be plugging this in all the time, and you still have to open the second door. It would be nice if it just had a seal right here. You could open it, plug it in really quickly and easily. We can adjust our backrest from back here, though. There we go, so we can fold everything down. Oh, and they run right into the screens. Is there a little bit of storage under here? Oh yeah, this is kind of nice to put grocery bags and some smaller items in so they don't shift around. Very cool. All right, well, that's pretty much all there is to show you in the back of the Range Rover Sport. This will tow around 7,700 pounds, so that's pretty useful. As a PHEV, this is rated for 53 MPGe. As a gasoline-only vehicle, 22 miles to the gallon. Again, not too shabby. We have rear-wheel steer, adjustable adaptive air suspension, tons of drive modes. And speaking of drive modes, let's hop on the front seat and show you some of the options that you get when you take off in this Range Rover Sport. Since we've gotten out, we have to turn it back on again. So, because it's a plug-in hybrid, you can choose these EV drive modes over to the far right. You have EV, which is what it defaults to if you have a good charge in the battery when you start up the vehicle. Hybrid, which will engage the engine with a little bit more throttle. The transition is really smooth. We'll show you guys what that's like on the road here in a minute. And save mode, which will maintain your current level of charge. Beyond those plug-in hybrid specific drive modes, you also get dynamic comfort, eco, auto terrain response, and then a bunch of off-road modes, which we're not really going to be needing today. But it is nice to know that in your Range Rover Sport, you can go off-road and have a lot of capability doing that. In these Range Rovers, I just leave these in auto terrain response mode, and they do everything that I could possibly want. Only thing that I would want beyond this is just a physical switch to change between EV, hybrid, and save. I feel like it would be really nice to be able to do that on the fly without having to take up the entire screen and only be able to monotask here. You also get some different ride heights, off-road, normal, access height. Access height slams us to the ground, which looks kind of cool. However, it is a little bit late in doing so. I wish it happened a little bit faster as soon as you put the car in park, turned it off. By the time you get out, you're still in normal mode. You're not really in access height mode, and it's a little bit tall of a reach to get out of this driver's and passenger seat. Other complaints with the screen are that it's just a little bit laggy on startup. However, I do really like the temperature control. It's a slider, and it works really, really well because you have a ton of resolution and space to move and make your adjustments. No volume knob, which is annoying. I wish they had something here. There's room for it. But again, you can make pretty decent adjustments with that too. Let's just play a quick song. You guys can get an idea for what that looks like. Yeah, you can make some nice changes here with volume. But again, nothing beats a physical knob. The infotainment itself is reasonably well laid out and organized. Again, would prefer physical buttons for things like heated and ventilated seats, though the driver and passenger can make those changes at the same time, which is nice. But still, again, you can only monotask because this is one screen. You can't see your navigation when you're doing this. It kind of blocks everything else. It'd be really nice in your $127,000 luxury SUV if there weren't so much cost cutting and they actually gave us some physical controls for luxury features that come with the car. However, that is not the case. We've got a couple of cup and water bottle holders right here. A cool box, which I guess is kind of cool. There you go. You got one of two settings, or off. All of your seat controls are right here, and then if you press them once, you get some more detailed controls like side bolsters, lumbar, headrest, and cushion adjustments, all of which you can customize and save to your memory settings. One of 3 memory settings. Over to the left, you've got a button to pop your tailgate or your fuel filler door. Here you can fold in your mirrors, adjust your mirrors, turn on your child locks, and then you have auto up-down windows on all 4 corners. Also, we'll show you guys what access height looks like here. Oh, and the car turns off. We'll turn it back on. I do like that you get proximity lock on all 4 doors. So nice to be able to get out of this, lock your door on your way out, or if you're opening it up to get something out of the back, you can lock your door here without having to go to the front, or reach for the key in your pocket. This is what we look like in access height mode. Nice and slammed. What about these exhaust tips? Are these real? Are they connected? They are. Very nice. Yeah, this is a good looking Range Rover. Let's go drive it. Much easier ingress and egress in access height mode. Here are what your reverse and 360 cameras look like. Good resolution, pretty good visibility in this Range Rover Sport 2. We also get a digital rear view mirror. Steering is very light at low parking lot speeds. And you do feel that rear wheel steer pretty much immediately as soon as you go hand over hand in this Range Rover Sport. It's pretty aggressive, and you can see it down there turning those rear wheels. EV mode has pretty decent power. Definitely quicker than the Lamborghini Temerario in its EV mode. You can feel gear changes, so power delivery isn't as smooth and consistent and linear as it is in an electric car. You do feel that 8-speed auto making subtle shifts in the background. And if you push through the kickdown switch, the engine will turn on. For now though, let's just leave it in this EV mode and give you guys some driving impressions here. We'll pull out into traffic here. Plenty of torque, plenty of power, getting up to speed. That is excellent. For a plug-in hybrid, this really does deliver on range and power in electric driving mode. Little bit of a lurch there between shifts, but overall, not too bad. Regenerative braking also feels very nice. Really good tuning, really good calibration here from Land Rover. We've had mixed experiences with these plug-in hybrids from luxury manufacturers, specifically the Germans. Mercedes is really struggling with their calibrations. Their braking systems just feel horrible. Porsche, a little bit wonky too. Audi, same deal. Land Rover, I think, has gotten this really right. It feels nice. It's still a responsive SUV, but it still kind of has that comfortable, cosseted character that you get from a lot of other Land Rover products. All right, We're going to switch into hybrid mode after this, but I want to show you how responsive this is when you press through the kickdown switch. You really want some power out of this. It takes about a second, but the transition is seamless. Really nice powertrain calibration here. Let's put it into hybrid mode. A little bit less throttle here turns on the engine, and then it'll turn off into EV mode. It's a really nice balance between using that electric charge, but also that seamless transition of power from the internal combustion engine. You barely hear that inline six. Gone is that drama and excitement factor and sound and emotion from the old V8, and instead this inline six is super powerful, super smooth, but super quiet. Ride quality on the adaptive air suspension, very nice, as you'd expect. This thing just kind of wafts over rough roads, potholes, big undulations and bumps. It doesn't care. Steering feels tight, a little bit more connected, not as loose or vague as some other Land Rover products. This being the Range Rover Sport, I would expect and hope for that, and it delivers. Lots of torque here too. All right, let's change up our drive modes a little bit more. Let's go into dynamic, and you know what? I'm just gonna leave this in hybrid. Why not? Or you know what? Let's switch it up. And we're gonna go into save. So the internal combustion engine will be on all the time. We have some wonderful metal paddle shifters behind the wheel. And something in settings is turned off, so we can't use them. I don't know why they do that. Land Rover and Jag, they have a setting to turn off your paddles. The strangest thing. There we go. Maybe we can use them in sport mode. Yeah, they're turned off in drive, but enabled in sport. We'll take it. They feel really nice. Listen to that. Tires are quite vocal here. Not a ton of mechanical grip. Not very sporty. But body control is excellent. I think if you did have a little bit more of an aggressively sporty tire on here than whatever's on here, the handling would be just fantastic. Super flat around corners, really nice body control. It's linear, progressive, easy to drive. A little bit of safe understeer, but again, that could be the tire choice. Adaptive cruise control works okay. Got tripped up a couple times this week on the highway, passing slower vehicles. Let's throw it into one more corner. It is super flat in dynamic mode. It handles great. Quick shifts there from the 8-speed auto. All right, so Range Rover Sport plug-in hybrid. Really nice luxury SUV. Not as exciting or emotional of a luxury performance SUV, which is what the Range Rover Sport has done so well in the past. This just doesn't quite deliver on that excitement factor, that emotional factor that the old V8 had. But I think you kind of go into this car expecting that, which is fine. For most people, this powertrain is going to be more than adequate. The smoothness, the torque, the drivability, the power here, and the refinement are all excellent. I don't really have too many complaints about the calibration of everything here. Land Rover's done a really nice job with that, which is commendable. There are a couple quirks and foibles with the user interface. I would like a little bit more control with everything, a little bit more responsiveness, a few more physical buttons, but ultimately, it's not the worst luxury SUV to live with. I'd rather be driving this around than, the new BMW iDrive or whatever Mercedes is trying to do these days with their screens. This is just a little bit simpler, a little bit easier to use. I'll take it. It's not perfect, but I'll take it. There are a lot of gloss black plastics in this interior. This is a highly reflective surface right here, which blinds you in broad daylight. That's kind of annoying. There's a lot of kind of dark black chrome accents in this interior. That can be problematic if you're driving into the sun sometimes. You can see it right there. That is super, super bright to my eye. Luckily, my arm kind of covers it if I've got my hand on the wheel. Let's change our drive modes. Let's go back into hybrid. We've got a few following distance controls here for adaptive cruise control. And then whatever driving assistance this has. Let's see what it does here. I actually haven't tried this out yet. So it looks like it's steering us in the lane. Will it change lanes? Nope. But it will disable as we change lanes. All right, so not level 2, but keeping us pretty well centered. I like that that's a physical button right here on the steering wheel that we can turn on and off depending on how we're feeling, what we want. You can press and hold the plus minus buttons for 5 mile an hour speed changes, or just a quick press for 1 mile an hour changes. And the lane keep is kind of making us wander a little bit within this lane on this slight curve. Honestly, I'd rather just do the driving myself. All right, guys, those are my thoughts on the 2026 Range Rover Sport Autobiography. An expensive proposition. This is a really nicely balanced SUV from Land Rover. It's very luxurious. It's fast. It's, I guess, sporty enough. Not as sporty as it historically has been, especially with the old supercharged V8. But I think it delivers a nice blend of comfort, performance, efficiency, and practicality. There are a couple of little things that I would change, like just having the charge port ready to go as soon as you open that charge door, add a couple physical buttons, but really those are the only complaints that I can come up with after spending a couple days behind the wheel of this. Otherwise, we've got a pretty nice experience. Even the Meridian sound system is better than I've heard in some other Land Rover products. We'll end with a quick sound system test, and I think that'll wrap up this video for me. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks again for watching. I don't love this. There isn't really a way to mute your soundtrack here except for pressing that, which is multiple button presses on the other side of the screen as you're driving, trying to pay attention to the road. Not great. They should have that on the steering wheel as a press or something, or a pause. Maybe they do and I don't know it or haven't set it up right, but that's not intuitive. I gotta say, to these manufacturers, if you want to do a bunch of cost cutting and put everything in the screen, this better be as responsive as our iPhones and better laid out, because it's, we're not allowed to use our phones while driving, but we can use these slow, laggy, poorly designed infotainment screens while we're driving. It's more dangerous. Manufacturers are saving money, but at the expense of our safety. And it would be nice if we had just a few physical buttons as redundancy to do simple tasks that we would be using often while driving.